Hi everybody, welcome back. We are here at AWS, Amazon Web Services reInvent. We've got another really cool session talking about artificial intelligence, and we have myself, Randall Hunt, Nikki Klein,
Hi.
the amazing, and we have Dr. Jody Frizzell.
For Lizzie,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I knew I was going to get that wrong.
It's okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do? You're from Carnegie Mellon and your research and
Sure.
what you're talking about here today.
Yep.
at reInvent.
I'm actually the director of the Human-Computer Interaction Institute, which is in the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon University. But I'm not a computer scientist, I'm a designer by training. So Human-Computer Interaction, or HCI, is a cross-disciplinary effort that involves computer science, human science, and design, and I'm the design part of the equation.
And why is that important?
Well, we need designers to figure out how people are going to use technology, how they're going to foster trust and collaborate with it, and to ensure that we design things that are ethical and purposeful and pragmatic.
So I think today you're speaking at our AI Summit, and at that AI Summit you're talking about the implications of design on AI. And
Right.
Can you tell us more about that?
So, some people say that AI has been around for several decades, and what's really changed is the abundance of data that we now have. We've got sensors and everything, we have traces of consumer activities, and so design is changing in response to this. So in my talk, I'm going to touch on a couple ways that design works with AI. One, to show what the future might be like before technology is actually designed and there are no social norms around the technology. How do we understand that? Second, to kind of oversee systems that use AI to make sure the AI doesn't spin out of control. And third, to show AI in a workflow in a way that people trust it and they will use it. So
do you work with companies to help them design?
we work with companies all the time. So many companies come to us to say, how can we change our business in the light of all this data that's coming? How can we move from commodities to data-driven services? So that's happening in healthcare, in education, in robotics, in consumer goods. So it's really everywhere.
Does it involve, in that healthcare space, things like differential privacy, where you want to be able to train a model but you don't want to use personally identifiable information?
Yes, it's a very touchy kind of triangle of what's good for the patient, what's good for clinicians, what might infringe on someone's privacy, what could be known about people, and what we can predict. So you can imagine if you can predict something really terrible about somebody's future health, how do you deal with that? So those are some of the questions that parts of HCI look at.
And what are the kind of implications of what you guys are working on right now with your research and with your I mean, I know HCI does a lot more than just artificial intelligence. I've been following the work from HCI for a long time, and there's some really cool stuff that you guys do. But what about with AI specifically? Do you guys have any findings that you're ready to share? Any kind of game-changing stuff that you've built?
Well, one of the things we do frequently is to look at when people are intimidated or they don't want AI, and then we pivot. We use design and HCI research methods to kind of understand the context, and then we might pivot it around. So one of the things I'm going to talk about in my talk was how we brought AI to a team of clinicians who said, we know everything. We don't need AI. We can make decisions. And we were able to show them AI in a way that didn't impact their workflow, and they were actually able to begin to use and trust.
So making it less scary, and then also making sure that they're using it in an ethical way.
Absolutely.
Is like the most important thing.
I had the really, really cool opportunity of working with a group of doctors doing segmentation research. So that's a type of AI where you can see things with a chest x-ray or an MRI, and you can basically figure out which pixels in this thing are corresponding to a tumor, or which pixels are corresponding to something else. And I remember in the beginning they were quite resistant to.
They thought they knew their work and they didn't need any AI. But I think we're going to see new kinds of people that bridge AI and the causal aspects of human behavior. I think that's what we really need. So
why do they typically think that they don't need it, or what is the main?
Well, they believe that they have deep expertise, and they do. But maybe a system can do better. It's a really interesting question.
I mean, humans, we are pretty darn good at our intuition and stuff like that, but we're not so great when it comes to looking at data. That's why we have visualization libraries, things like Matplotlib, and HCI has a huge component in making that data more accessible to our tiny little brains.
There's so much data now.
And there is. And
endless
then
amount.
with AI, I feel like it just looks at the data as a whole and says, hey, here's my probabilistic answer. I kind of like that. You can combine the human and the AI to get the best result.
I always say you need causal as well as correlational. Then you'll have the whole answer. And that, in a nutshell, is what it's all about.
So where could a company go if they wanted to utilize your services?
Well, in the HCI Institute, we engage with companies in many ways. We do workshops to assess people's business gaps and needs. We do capstone projects where teams of students develop working solutions with client guidance. And then, of course, we do research, both basic and applied, looking at AI and design. And I should also say that Carnegie Mellon rolled out an AI undergraduate major this year. We have the first group going through, so that's pretty exciting
that's
as
pretty
well.
cool.
So there's a whole undergraduate program for HCI.
Whole
now.
undergraduate program in AI.
In AI.
And we do have
Major in
we have a
AI.
minor in HCI. We're going to move up to a major, but some of the courses overlap. So all the human courses overlap. So we'll be teaching design and AI for the first time in January, which is pretty exciting.
If you look 5 years in the future or even 10 years in the future, do you see the prominence and importance of HCI becoming vastly more than what it is now?
Of course, I have to say yes to that. That's like the New Yorker's view of New York. But I do think that HCI will continue to be important as we have more ethical questions, more policy questions, more questions about the intersections of people and technology.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for joining
And
us.
Thank you both.
Really interesting work that you do.
Hope you enjoy the rest of your reInvent. And we're going to be right back with some more content. So see you guys shortly.